As regards to this program, there is an ambition to put 100 chargers at least on the streets of Exeter and nearby towns across Devon, which is these are rapid chargers, and that's a different technology to most of the chargers you will see on the street today, which are slow or fast. So they will take several hours to charge a vehicle, whereas the rapid chargers take less than an hour. So that's a significant improvement in terms of technology. Devon has been instrumental in getting this program up to those 100 chargers and hopefully more in the future. And and they've worked very hard as well as us to make this possible. So this is a program that has started in 2018. So it's taken a while. It's not an easy job to get all of those chargers in the right places across Devon. In terms of nationwide, I would say, Devon is catching up. London is probably the most advanced region in the UK in terms of chargers, on street chargers. There is also a significant impetus in Scotland for that. Other UK regions are catching up to, I would say, those two areas.
Do you have any targets for Devon? Do we have any understanding of how many people use EVs at the moment? Do you have a figure you'd like to get to, how big a change would that figure be?
So there are around 1,200 EVs in Exeter as of 2021, and around 4,400 across Devon. It's not a big number, but what is significant is the increase in the number of EVs over the past few years. So we've come from virtually no EVs 5 years ago to this number now, and it's growing very fast. So the last numbers we have for electric vehicles sales in September to 2021 is 15%. These are pure electric vehicles. If you add in the hybrid electric, plug-in hybrid electric, you're up to 22%. So it's already nationwide. It's a very significant market share that EV have at the moment.
Is this likely to be a very big industry locally? Will we see, around Exeter, for example, lots of EV-related tech companies? Is there a lot of potential jobs in this sector, do you think?
Yeah, so the EV sector is clearly a huge transition from conventional vehicles to EVs, and that will generate jobs across the manufacturing, transport, and ancillary services. So yes, there will be a significant contribution to job creation from the electric vehicle market. Yeah, it's not easy to put a number to this. What we can say is, for example, by 2030, we will be very much across completing the transition to electric vehicles, because you will not be able to sell any more conventional petrol and diesel vehicles from 2030 onwards. So that transition is going to happen pretty fast, and the latest sales numbers show it. And how that specifically will materialize, it's not easy to understand. I think there are many factors in play here, but I think certainly it will be a very revolutionary transition in terms of creation of jobs.
I'd like to ask you a little bit about the different types of chargers. Obviously, we've got the rapid chargers you're rolling out across Devon, and the first 14 go live in Exeter later this month. They're on pavement. In Bristol, for example, they've looked at off-pavement locations. In parts of London, there's lamp-post charging. There's quite a big difference in technology for these chargers. Why in Devon are we looking at on pavement? Is there a particular reason for that? Is that the only option for Devon at the moment, or are there different options? Will different towns have different types of chargers, do you think?
The phase one charges that you see at the moment in Exeter are on the pavement. We've paid a lot of attention to ensuring that they are not sitting in front of houses or other or shops or other key locations. We've made sure that there's enough pavement width for wheelchair users and buggies to come through. They have been consulted extensively, both with Devon County Council and other stakeholders. They have been approved by Devon County Council as well. They will be complemented by other locations where we will put chargers on the road rather than on the pavement. So there will be a mix of both chargers on the pavement and on the road. It very much depends on the location and how best to utilize the space in those areas. We need to balance the need for parking spaces, because obviously chargers on the road take out parking spaces, with the need of pedestrians to utilize those pavements. And there's a balancing act in trying to get the right mix.
What kind of reaction have you had? Have you been contacted by people saying, well, let's have a charger on my street? And, are people enthused about this technology, or are people concerned when they see these kind of iPod-like things appearing on their street? What kind of reactions have you had?
So the reaction has been mostly positive. We've conducted a survey some months ago that showed that the vast majority of people would want to or are considering buying an electric vehicle. A lot of those people, unfortunately, don't have their own driveway. So it's estimated that about 34% of residents don't have their own driveway. They need charging infrastructure on the street. So there is a lot of interest from these people in particular to have chargers on the street. In terms of the technology itself, they're relatively new, so it will probably take a little bit of getting used to. But the rapid chargers give you a charge in less than an hour, whereas the lamppost chargers or other types of technologies that you find out there will give you a charge in several hours, in multiple of hours, which is, in our opinion, not practical when you have a large amount of electric vehicles on the streets.
If we could fast forward to 2030, what will Devon look like in your view? What do you realistically expect the average street to see? Will there be a charger on every street? Will there be a charger in 1 in 50 streets, for example? How do you picture this rollout going?
Yeah, well, it's difficult to predict how things will be looking in 2030 when diesel and petrol vehicles will no longer be able to be sold. Difficult to understand the exact order of events then, but if you take into account that an electric vehicle consumes as much electricity as a standard household, then that's a lot of new electricity demand in a standard city, and that requires a lot of infrastructure to serve that. So if we're going to phase out petrol and diesel, the alternative requires an extensive amount of new infrastructure. How many chargers can we expect on streets? Difficult to say, but hopefully, it won't be just streets. People will have chargers in their homes. There will be in car parks as well, shopping centers, motorways, stopovers. So you will have a variety of locations where chargers will be placed. But certainly on-street charging is a necessary component of that infrastructure. We're very excited about this program. I think it has, we've put together Devon County Council and other technology partners, and in particular Co-Cars who have electric vehicles, shared electric vehicles, ZPN who manufacture the chargers, and other stakeholders across Devon. And we think we're we're very excited about bringing this new charging technology to the county and helping with our transition to electric vehicles.